The quietest moment before the end. I did not know the galaxy was listening when I said it. At the time, the words felt small, human, insignificant against the vast metal corridors of the orbital station, against the hum of alien engines and languages that could fracture the mind if translated incorrectly. They slipped from my mouth without strategy, without calculation. "You are beautiful." That was all. The alien woman across from me froze. Not stiffened, not startled. She froze, as if time itself had slammed into a wall and shattered. The temperature in the observation chamber dropped 3 degrees instantly. The gravity stabilizers flickered. Somewhere deep in the station's core, an alarm tried to sound and then died as if smothered. And every being in the room, humans, synthetics, xeno-ambassadors, felt it, felt her. I should explain who I was, before explaining who she was. My name is Elias Verne. At the time, I was nothing important. A cultural linguist attached to the Terran Diplomatic Corps. My job was to translate gestures, subtext, emotional structures, everything that wasn't words. I was there because the woman in front of me did not communicate in language alone. She was called Seraphel of the Virel Dominion. The galaxy called her many other things. The Stillstorm, the Silent Extinction, the Unmoving Queen. And sometimes, in whispers meant never to reach her species' ears. The end of wars. The Virel were ancient beyond measurement. Their history did not count years, but eras between collapses. They did not expand. They waited. They did not threaten. They arrived, and civilizations rearranged themselves to survive. Seraphel was not royalty in the way humans understood it. She was something worse. She was a convergence entity, a living focal point where biology, psionics, and cosmic law intersected. Wherever she stood, probability bent. Conflict resolved itself around her, often violently. The Virel insisted she was peaceful. The galaxy knew better. That was why I was assigned to her, because I was one of the few humans whose neural patterns did not fracture under Virel psionic proximity, because my emotional responses were unusually gentle according to my psych profile, and because I had once diffused a skirmish between 2 war species by accidentally complementing the texture of one ambassador's exoskeleton. No one expected anything important to happen that day. We were wrong. Seraphel stood taller than me, her form humanoid but elongated, her skin a pale iridescence like moonlight under ice. Her eyes were vast and dark, reflecting stars that were not in the room. A crown-like lattice of organic crystal rose from her temples, part of her skull, not decoration. She was terrifying. She was also alone. I could feel it in the space around her. An immense silence. A being who had existed too long as an object of fear to remember what it meant to be seen. We were alone in the chamber when it happened. Just her and me, and the galaxy holding its breath without knowing why. She had asked a question, through resonance, not words. Why do humans persist in gazing at what destroys them? It was not a threat. It was curiosity. I answered honestly. Because sometimes, I said, what looks like destruction is just something beautiful we don't understand yet. She tilted her head. Virel gesture for uncertainty. And then I made the mistake. Or the miracle. I looked at her, not as a weapon, not as a myth, not as an extinction event wearing a body, but as a being standing alone in a cold universe. And I whispered, softly, without protocol, without diplomacy, "You are beautiful." The word struck her like a supernova collapsing inward. She froze. The stars outside the viewport flickered. And somewhere far beyond that station, ancient machines and dormant gods began to wake. The woman who was never meant to be touched by words. For exactly 9 seconds, nothing moved. Then the station's artificial gravity failed. I slammed against the floor, gasping as weight vanished and returned in violent pulses. Console shattered. The viewport cracked, not fully, but enough to scream. Seraphel did not move. Her eyes glowed, not with light, but with depth, like looking into the space between galaxies. I tried to speak. I couldn't. Every thought in my head echoed twice. Then, say it again. Her voice was not sound. It was presence. It filled my skull gently, not like an invasion, but like hands cupping something fragile. I didn't mean, I started. Say it again. Fear surged through me, but not the instinctive terror I had expected. Instead, I felt something stranger. Sadness, so deep it bent gravity. I swallowed. You are beautiful, I said again. This time, she moved. The temperature stabilized. The alarm ceased. The universe exhaled. Seraphel stepped closer, each movement deliberate, as if the laws of motion had to renegotiate themselves around her. She raised one elongated hand, stopping inches from my face. No being has ever said this to me, she said. I find that hard to believe, I replied weakly. The galaxy's full of liars. Her lips, thin, luminous, curved slightly. It was the first recorded instance of a virile smile. That smile triggered an emergency summit within the hour. The station filled with representatives, humans, Keth warlords, Oralese light forms, even a synthetic envoy that had not activated in 3 centuries. All of them wanted to know what I had done. The answer was nothing and everything. Seraphel's presence had changed, not weakened. Focus. Her psionic field, once diffuse and overwhelming, had narrowed, sharpened. Where probability had once collapsed violently around her, it now listened. The Virel delegation was in chaos. She is destabilizing. One of them resonated, panic bleeding through disciplined calm. Her convergence is altering. Into what? Demanded the human admiral. They did not answer. They could not. Seraphel requested that I remain at her side, not as a translator, as a constant. The galaxy protested. Empires threatened war. Ancient treaties were dusted off and rewritten in real time. None of it mattered, because Seraphel had decided something. And when a convergence entity decides, the universe adjusts accordingly. Over the next cycles, I learned who she truly was. Not a queen, not a weapon. She was a failsafe. Long ago, before recorded history, the universe had faced annihilation. Not invasion, not entropy, stagnation. Life had reached a point where conflict calcified into endless loops. Progress ceased, meaning drained away. So the universe created the Virel, and within them, convergence entities like Seraphel, living resets. When conflict reached critical mass, she would appear. Wars would end, not through peace, but through inevitability. Species would vanish. Others would adapt. Then she would withdraw. Alone. Always alone. Because attachment destabilized the function. Until a human, of all things, looked at her and did not see an ending. I asked her once, quietly, while my words affected her. She answered after a long silence. "Because beauty implies choice," she said, "and I was never allowed one." Her people grew afraid. The galaxy grew hopeful. Both were wrong, because change, once begun, does not ask permission. The first sign was a Keth armada. They crossed into neutral space, weapons charged, intent unmistakable. They had decided to test whether the still storm had softened. Seraphel watched their approach from the viewport. "What will you do?" I asked. She looked at me. "What would you wish?" No convergence entity had ever asked that. "Don't destroy them," I said. "Show them." She stepped forward. Space bent. The Keth armada did not explode. Instead, every weapon shut down simultaneously. Their crews experienced a shared vision of endless war, endless loss, endless children born into battlefields. They retreated within minutes. Word spread like wildfire. The still storm no longer erased. She revealed that terrified the old powers far more than destruction ever had. Attempts were made on my life. Subtle ones at first. Poisoned air filters. Tampered gravity. A sniper round that curved away from my skull as if reality itself had blinked. Seraphel said nothing. But after the third attempt, 3 star systems experienced spontaneous political collapse. No deaths. No explosions. Just resignation. The galaxy learned the boundary. I began to realize something else. 2. Seraphel was changing, not becoming weaker, becoming more. She laughed once, quietly, uncertainly, when I told her a joke about human bureaucracy. That laugh sent ripples through subspace that rearranged trade routes. She asked questions about music, about art, about why humans painted stars inaccurately on purpose. And sometimes, when she thought I wasn't paying attention, she would look at her reflection in the viewport, as if trying to understand what I had seen. The Virel elders finally confronted me. "You are unmaking her," they said. "No," I replied. "I'm letting her choose." They called it dangerous. They were right, because the universe had never prepared for a convergence entity who wanted something. And what Seraphel wanted was not small. When the galaxy learned a new definition of power, the event horizon appeared without warning. A tear in space, not violent, not catastrophic, just wrong. Every advanced civilization recognized it instantly. A null emergence. The thing the Virel were created to prevent. An absence where meaning collapsed. A cosmic silence that consumed not matter, not energy, but possibility. Seraphel stared at it, unmoving. Her people knelt. The galaxy waited for her to do what she had always done. Erase. Reset. End. She turned to me instead. "This is my purpose," she said. "And yet, I do not wish to be alone again." My chest tightened. "What happens if you don't go?" I asked. "Everything ends," she replied calmly. "And if you do—" She hesitated. "I will lose what I am becoming." For the first time since I had met her, Seraphel looked afraid. Not of death, of returning to inevitability. I reached out, before I could think better of it, and placed my hand against hers. The galaxy gasped. Contact between a human and a convergence entity should have annihilated me. It didn't. "You're still beautiful," I said, "no matter what you choose." She closed her eyes, and the universe changed its mind. Seraphel did not enter the null emergence alone. She redefined it. Instead of collapsing into silence, the tear filled with light, not blinding, but warm. Possibility returned. Futures branched. She did not erase a threat. She healed it. When she returned, she was different, not less powerful, unbound. The Virel elders fell silent. Their fail-safe had become a guardian. The galaxy rewrote its myths. As for me, I remained at her side, not as a weapon, not as a symbol, as someone who had once whispered a truth without realizing the universe was listening. And somewhere among the stars, civilizations learned that the greatest force in existence was not destruction. It was being seen. And